Right guys and girls, I'm here with Ali from SIK Putters. Shall we have a look? He's going to tell me what these putters are about. They're quite intriguing. The loft idea that they've got in these putters is interesting. You might want to stay tuned for this one. Thanks for coming along, Ali.
No problem at all.
Tell us about SIK Putters. Like, who are they? What are they?
So SIK started with the concept of they wanted to produce a custom fittable putter, but really change the way people putted within the industry.
Okay.
And what they developed and have mastered their patented DLT descending loft technology. So essentially the loft technology starts from a single piece of 303 stainless milled steel made in the US.
Okay.
And on the face, you've got descending loft that goes from 4 degrees of loft to 3 to 2 to 1, descending down the face.
Why would that be a good thing? What's that doing?
So the methodology behind that is they want to change the way you roll and they want to produce more consistent putts, helping your game. So with that, what they want to be doing is creating a more consistent and better launch angle when you're striking putts, because out there are a lot of people that sadly aren't putting consistently and they really struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's interesting as well, if you measure amateurs' strikes, anyone watching when we measure strike, I've got a Sand Putt Lab and we measure strike and other things that you can do to put on the face. It's amazing how good players, but certainly amateurs, do struggle to strike it in the same place.
100%.
Now, the pitfalls of not striking it in the same place is that when you do strike it in variation all places on the face, so let's go high to low, because that's what SIK are talking about, it's going to change the launch, so how the ball launches off the face. And I guess if the launch changes, in theory, let's pretend I had a constant swing. You know, if I did have a constant pace of stroke, but the launch was varying, so let's say 2 degrees, 4 degrees, 1 degree, or I even ram it into the ground, then in theory I'm not going to get the same distance on each putt.
Exactly, and with that launch angle, it potentially could launch the ball on a different line, therefore leading to more inconsistent putts and therefore more missed putts.
Yeah, so distance control, but also we're talking about it starting more consistently in a straighter direction in theory, aren't we? Exactly,
because ultimately you want to be able to launch the ball correctly, but also on the right line, because you can still hit a good putt, but if you're launching it on the wrong line, then it's not going to go in.
So obviously Bryson's your kind of poster boy, I guess,
100%.
Because he uses SIK putters, and obviously he's a standout. You know, you can tell he's using something different because he's up the arm and he's super upright. Like he's a great poster boy to have in some ways, even though people do kind of love or hate him a little bit. He definitely makes a generic club, you know, so if you watch telly, you kind of think they've got a putter, I'm not always sure which one they've got. He's quite stand out in his technique. So, like, are you only making up the arm putters? No, because that's what people think. People think that's the company that makes the up the arm one that Bryson used.
No, 100% not. So in here we have our first fitting bag. So this is a one-of-a-kind fitting solution. So within here you have over 150 different combination of putter, from arm lock down to standard grip, 33 to 35 inch.
What's your biggest seller, I guess? I guess you're going more arm lock because people are wanting to have a bit of the Bryson loving.
100%. Arm lock has really taken off, obviously having Bryson as the focal point. But really, it's just the technology behind it, because once you get on a launch monitor and see the numbers and compare it to what you're currently using, it's just a game changer, really. And that's why Bryson simply went to it. He recognised on tour that to be a great player on tour, he's got to get better at putting. That was the worst part of his game. Since he's moved to arm lock, he's improved that, and which led to his 2020 US Open win.
Let's talk about the SIK putting fitting process. It's quite an intense or kind of full fitting process. Let's show you what they do. So fitting, I presume you would use some level of technology to measure, because if we're talking about launch angle, you are going to be able to show that with certain technologies, aren't you?
100%. Generally, most fitters have different fitting equipment, whether it be a quintic ball roll, whether it be a cap toe.
Okay. What
they like to do is generally get a customer coming in for a fit to hit between 6 to 10 putts just to gather their data, to show them where they are with their current fitting situation with the setup they currently have.
Yeah.
Now, once that data is stored, a typical SIK fitter will go through the process to then identify the head shape, the sight line, the neck, length, and then grip, to ultimately produce the best putter for them.
Okay, so let's do that with me, shall we? So let's start with head. You'd start with head. Let's pretend we've got my data, but I'm quite happy with my putter, which I am.
Yep.
So I'm quite an easy person to fit because I'm not coming with much back. Like I could use any of them. So even though this head is very not the style of head I use at the minute, I instantly picked this up and I think it looks really nice and it feels nice. So I want to get fit for this head.
For the flow head, not a problem. So in the flow head, we have two different sight lines. So that one in your hands there is line on back. So you can see the line is on the back of the flange, whereas here you can see on the fitting head, this is on the top of the flange. So straight away what I would identify, now you've chosen your head, is the sight line. So what eye dominant are you?
Yeah.
Do you know that?
I'm left eye dominant.
Left eye dominant, so that would promote a line on top.
Yeah.
So that is what you would benefit from the data and statistics that we've taken through tour players in America.
Which is really interesting because if you listen to any of my videos in the past, you know I'm not a massive fan of huge lines. I even paint them out on some of my putters. So out of the two, what Ali is saying there is that the data kind of backs up this head, and I would agree, out of the two, that's the one I would choose. I would want it in the darker colour though. I would want that in the darker colour.
Yeah, so
that's an option in that alignment line.
100%. So within the fitting bag, it contains all satin coloured product.
Okay.
However, in America, everything is made, milled and constructed in America for our black range.
Okay.
So that is all available. And with the sight lines, if you don't prefer a sight line, if you prefer a dot, if you prefer an arrow, we are very flexible.
Or I would want a dot.
We are very versatile.
I don't like lines. I'm a natural feel putter.
Some people prefer
I
dots.
like that. So I guess I'm paying extra for that. Am I? If I get a dot, because that's not going to be from your stock.
It's a slight upcharge, but again, with SIK and our methodology, we want to be the most custom fittable putter out there.
Yeah,
we want
that's amazing. Yeah.
We want to be most tailored to the customer.
Little dot I'd have, but we'll carry on with the line for now. I'll make sacrifices.
No problem at all. So then,
neck.
now we've moved from the head, we've gone to the neck configuration. So that's where you bring in toe flow and how much you like to open and close the club face when you're putting.
Yeah.
So do you know?
Yes. So I like to have very reduced amount of opening and closing.
Perfect. So then,
hence I like that one straight off the bat.
Exactly. If you.
I mean, I do actually use this style of putter, which in theory would have more toe flow than this, you would argue.
100%. So.
But I'm aware, and I'll just make strokes to kind of calm it down. But I do like to calm toe flow down, and I do know that might help it. If I struggle with my putting, I would change. My putting generally is good, so I go with the looks. But I want you to de-toe flow me with a dot in a black head. I hope Gordon's taking note of all this. Yeah. Gordon, writing this down. Okay, so it's just an easy screw. You're putting a screw in there and you're going to have a key. Yeah, love it. So it's like the drivers, really.
Exactly. Simple torque wrench, simple screw. However, the finished built product has no screw, which you'll see on that putter in your hands.
Yeah.
So all the weight is taken into account.
Yeah, so the finished product is going to be clean and neutral, and obviously Ali's got the fitting one here, which has the little screw in here, like your driver fittings that you get where you're screwing the club around.
So there we've configured a single bend flow neck. Okay,
so we've gone single bend. What are the other options in the neck? Have you got a couple there to show?
Yes, certainly. So we've got a slant neck, we've got a flow, some people call it sweat neck.
Yeah. So this is more the neck I've got on my putter. It's like your classic answer neck, isn't it? And then you've got this kind of little kinky flow one.
And then you've got the traditional plumber's neck.
Okay. So we've got so many options, which is cool. And so many of you are just not getting fit enough for your putters to give yourself a chance of holding more putts. This is you can make changes in this department. I've actually done some studies on this, which I've not done any work with, but you can make bigger changes for lots of golfers in this department than you often can in the driver department, where everyone goes and gets fit, where people think they're going to gain 20 yards and all those kind of things. I mean, some people do because they have crazy fits that they come in with, but so many golfers, you can make big changes to their putting, like big changes to how they deliver the club, more than you often can with a driver fit. Okay, so we would test again. Again, we would be measuring and we would be testing, you know, how I like the feel. If I like the look, do I like the no line? I guess my feels still have to play in here, don't they?
100%. Putting is very personal. It's all about your choice and what you feel comfortable with. The last thing we would want is you to stand over the golf ball and not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because if you feel more comfortable, then you will ultimately make more putts.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm instantly really liking that. That neck works for me. Love that neck. Absolutely love the fact that it does feel so kind of here and not flowy.
Exactly. So with that neck, so the double bend steel neck leads to 0 to 5 degrees of toe flow. So that's very minimal. It's nearly perfectly face balanced.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
There's up to 5 degrees of toe flow.
Okay, and what, as in another neck would promote how much degrees of toe flow?
So depending on what neck
the most toe flow one would?
The most toe flow would go up to at least 40%.
Wow, that's quite a difference, isn't it?
Exactly.
And that's my point again. So many of you could make so many changes to your strokes that might help.
100%.
If you, I mean, this isn't just the SIK. Any manufacturer, obviously they want it to be SIK, but just getting a fitting for your putter at any level is just going to be so important. Okay, so I like this, and I've always putted with this kind of length, but now I'm thinking, you know, I've tried up the arm, and if I ever had any problems with my putting, I would go up the arm literally in seconds. You know, if I got twitchy and felt uncomfortable, which I don't, luckily I feel quite comfortable, I would totally go there straight away. Can we make that
100%.
up the armour?
Not a problem.
So we're arm locked. I love the grip. We'll talk about the grip. See, it's flat fronted here to go up my arm. I absolutely love that. Now, I've had to compromise on the neck, which we'll talk about.
So in the neck, where in your standard putter we had a single bend shaft,
Yeah.
that still promotes minimal toe flow. In the arm lock, we have to go to plumber's neck,
Yeah.
because with the plumber's neck, it actually alters the loft of the putter to compensate for the forward press.
Yeah.
So the plumber's neck is actually slightly slanted more compared to the standard neck because it's altering the loft to compensate for that forward press. But
Yeah.
as well with that, with arm lock, you traditionally stand slightly closer to the ball.
Yeah, you're upright and close, which I presume is going to produce considerably less rotations anyway.
Exactly. It promotes a more truer, consistent putt because you're simply going back and through.
You're basically as close as you can be to kind of going this way, aren't you? As in, if you imagine guys and girls at home, if I put the club out here, it's going to naturally want to really start rotating. So you can see that really clearly when you hold them up. If you hold them up both with the shaft pretty straight, you can see how much loft that has on now. It's the same head, it's not a different head, it's not a more lofted head, it's the same head as that one. It's the neck that's doing that. So basically, this one is designed to have that forward lean to get the lofts back into this kind of, well, to activate their face really. Because really it's the descending loft technology is the biggest point with these putters, isn't it? It's the
Absolutely.
fact that I am going to be able to hit this on different parts of the face and get some help with launch for directional purposes and those that distance control, which I think is so crucial for so many people watching.
Absolutely. The main feature and benefit of SIK is the DLT face technology that you simply don't get.
And it's unique, isn't it? No one else really is. Is there anyone else doing it? Not that I know of. There might be a few.
The only other brand that is doing that is Cobra, which acquired the license because they wanted to simply put our feature technology into their range of putters as well.
Yeah, they do it. You're right. I mean, I love that. I've said this on so many occasions. I reviewed the Cobra putter, the arm lock one, and I said exactly the same as I would say here. The arm lock idea, if I've got any wobbles, I am straight to this. This just makes so much sense. I enjoy it so much, I'm tempted to do it even without any putting issues to see if it improves or not, because there's always room for gains, isn't there?
Exactly. If you traditionally struggle with putting in terms of your pace, control, strike and feel, the arm lock is the way forward. It simply takes off that pressure with the Jumbo Max grip that you highlighted, where it's got the flat parallel.
That's so nice.
Where you've got the flat parallel surface that matches up to your wrist. As long as you keep your hands and your wrist straight, you know that you're going to hit a consistent square putt. So ultimately you can feel more confident in your strike because you know you're going to be hitting the ball straight. And then with the promotion of standing closer to the ball, promoting a straight back and through putting stroke, you know that you're consistently going to be hitting the club face better, which will lead to a truer roll and a better roll.
Right, let's put Ali on the spot here then. He's not ready for this question, so I'm going to hammer him with it. Let's see what his answer is. So I like this putter a lot. I'm going to go arm lock, okay? So I want this head. I need to compromise this neck, which I can do because of the stance. Taking out any kind of wrist wobbles, which arm lock does, makes me feel, and I know other people that I've tested it on. How much is this putter costing me around? Because I know prices will change in different regions and all the rest of it. Just what am I spending for this putter?
So for the flow putter, because the pricing will slightly change depending on what head you have.
Yeah.
So for the flow putter, it would traditionally retail around the 450 mark.
450, and that's before I go for a dot, isn't it? Which if I wanted to dot it, it's going to go up even more.
Yes, there will be a slight
So
upcharge.
here's the question then, how can you justify that? Like, that's a lot of money for a putter, isn't it? Have we got a justification for that? Like, lots of people down that lens are going to be thinking, that's a lot of money for a club that I chuck in the trees every day because it annoys me.
Well, the justification I use is you're more than happy to go for a driver fitting, go for a wood fitting, and go through all these different combinations, and ultimately a lot of people out there leave themselves not happy, not satisfied, and a lot of people chop and change their drivers or other clubs within the bag. Whereas the putter is possibly the most important club in the bag. It's really the club that will affect your score the most and will improve your game. So for me, if you're happy to spend hundreds on a driver but not your putter, for me that doesn't balance out.
So I kind of agree with Ali, but I kind of don't as well, because your putter isn't your most important club. I mean, we know where most of your gains come from. It's approach play and drivers. That's where your biggest gains will come from. That doesn't mean you can't make gains from your putter. And obviously as well, for me, the way I would justify that spend if I wanted to buy that putter is my history of putter life is I tend to have a putter for a very long time. So I get fit personally myself, and it is a club that I might have in the bag for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, forever. And I don't also get rid of putters. Drivers through my life have gone and come. They get traded in. Putters I tend to keep, so they mean a lot to me. So where I agree, you do use it a lot, and absolutely there are huge gains to be had. Most people are going to make bigger gains in their driver, but that isn't an advert for a driver fitting, because I think they should be getting a driver fitting and a putter fitting personally.
100%.
I do think this is an investment that is definitely on the high side for lots of people, but I also think you've got something very unique, and at the same time you've got something very unique and comprehensive in this, meaning I would think about investing in something like this personally, because this isn't an off-the-shelf, I'm going to just try one and give it a go. I would go through this process and learn about my putting stroke.
It's a very personal process because, again, everyone putts differently, everyone grips the putter differently. There's so many different strokes.
They see the putts differently, like you say, with eye dominance. They see lines differently, don't they?
Exactly. And if we're looking within golf, possibly 7 years ago, putter fitting wasn't a thing, whereas it's becoming more and more dominant, not just in the amateur game, but out on tour now, you see multiple people carry different technologies, different sight lines, as you've mentioned, different putter heads, depending on what type of course they're playing. So putting is getting more and more of a focus within the game, from amateur to elite level. So what we just simply want to promote is, through our unique fitting system, we just want to find the best putter for you.
Great, there we go. Thanks for your time, Ali. That was brilliant. SIK putters. I am absolutely loving the feel, the looks. I do like the look of this one. Like, this one is cool. And the fact that you could put a little dot on that, to me, does sell it. And I would pay the extra to get something unique. What would you pay for your putter? Have you been fitted? Have you tried these? Would you try these? Let me know in the comments down below. And yes, they are not cheap, but I'm pretty sure SIK are confident in what they've produced to stand behind their price and say, well, we've just got a great product. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.